The world had ended, but the streets were still alive with ghosts of the past. Broken towers leaned against the sky like tired giants. Rusted cars stood frozen in time, their windows cracked, their bodies eaten by dust and fire. The air carried the smell of smoke and old rain, and the silence was so heavy that even the wind seemed afraid to move. In the middle of this dead city, one man stood under a torn canvas roof. His name was Ravi, and he owned something nobody expected to see after the end of the world. A food stall. It wasn't grand. Just a wooden table, some pots, a pan black with use, and a fire built from scavenged metal drums. But there was something about it that pulled people in. The smell was rich, strange, and warm, drifting like a ghost through the cracked streets. People who passed by slowed down, their eyes, hungry and hollow, searched for the source. And when they saw Ravi's stall, they always stopped, because this wasn't normal food. The steam rose in slow curls, carrying scents that no one could name. It smelled part human, part something else, sweet, sharp, and glowing faintly, like sunlight trapped in a bowl. When Ravi stirred his pot, the soup shimmered as if stars had melted inside it. His bread gave off a golden shine, and even the fried meat seemed to hum quietly, like it held a voice deep inside. The first time people saw it, they thought it was dangerous. Some whispered, "It's poison." Others muttered, "It's alien, don't touch it." But hunger is stronger than fear. One thin man, bones sharp under his skin, dared to taste it. His hands shook as he lifted the spoon, and everyone watched. For a moment, silence. Then his eyes grew wide. He gasped, his body shivering with strange energy. His cheeks glowed faintly, as if light had touched his blood. Then he laughed, loud, free, almost mad, the laugh of a man who had forgotten suffering. People crowded closer after that. They wanted to try. They wanted to feel what he felt. Soon Ravi's stall became a secret fire in the dark ruins. But no one knew where his ingredients came from. There were no farms anymore, no gardens, no fresh markets. Most food was dried, canned, or stolen from old bunkers. Yet Ravi cooked every day. He had fresh herbs, colorful spices, and meat that tasted alive. Some said he had discovered a hidden storehouse. Others swore he had made a pact with something not human. Ravi never answered. He only smiled quietly and kept cooking. At night, when the city grew colder and the broken streets turned empty again, Ravi sat by his stall and watched the shadows. Sometimes he swore he saw them move, tall, thin shapes that slipped between walls and broken lights. He would hear faint voices, whispers in a language not his own. His fire would crackle louder, as if trying to chase them away. One night, he saw it clearly. Across the street, behind a fallen statue, something watched him. Its eyes glowed faint blue, like ice under moonlight. When he blinked, it was gone. Ravi's heart raced, but he said nothing. He only stirred his pot, and the smell rose higher into the sky. The truth was simple but dangerous. Ravi's food wasn't only for humans. The ruined city was no longer only Earth's. Strange beings had walked its streets since the war. Some hid, some hunted, and some hungered. Ravi's stall was a light in the dark, and lights always drew watchers. The humans who came to him didn't notice. They only cared for the warmth in their stomachs, the spark in their veins, the way their sadness lifted for a short time. But Ravi noticed. He noticed the way the air changed when he cooked. He noticed the way silence stretched too long before the first footstep appeared. He noticed the feeling of eyes that were not human. Still, he didn't stop. He couldn't. Because every time he cooked, he felt something too. His hands moved faster, his heart steadied, and his chest filled with strange energy. The food wasn't just healing others, it was healing him. Without it, he feared he would crumble, like the broken towers around him. So he kept cooking, kept serving, and kept ignoring the shadows. But deep down, he knew, the shadows were getting closer. One evening, as the sun bled red across the cracked skyline, Ravi packed away his stall. A young boy tugged his arm and whispered, "Mister, your food. It's not from here, right?" Ravi froze. His smile stayed on his lips, but his hand trembled as he tied his bag shut. The boy's eyes were wide, glowing faintly, just like the man who had first tasted his food. Ravi placed his hand gently on the boy's shoulder. "Eat well," he said softly, "and keep your mouth closed." The boy nodded, though his eyes still burned with questions. That night, Ravi lit his fire again. The soup glowed brighter than usual, and the smell carried farther. In the distance, where the ruins met the stars, more shadows stirred. Their eyes opened, sharp and beautiful, and for the first time they began to walk toward the light. The city was changing, and it was all because of one man, one stall, and one taste. The next morning was gray. The sky hung low, heavy with clouds, as if the heavens themselves wanted to crush what little was left of the world. Broken windows rattled in the weak wind, and the ground was wet with last night's acid rain. But in the middle of the ruined street, Ravi's stall burned bright. Smoke rose from his pan, carrying that same strange smell, warm, rich, glowing faintly like a dream someone could almost touch. The scent reached far, pulling broken souls from their hiding places. A small crowd formed, thin men, tired women, even children with hollow eyes. They gathered quietly, their faces pale, their bodies weak from hunger. Nobody spoke, but their eyes said everything. Still, most of them were afraid. The food did not look normal. The soup glowed softly, almost golden. The bread steamed with light. The meat had a shimmer, like starlight was trapped inside. In this dead world where nothing fresh existed, Ravi's food looked like it came from another planet. One man finally stepped forward. He was tall but thin as a skeleton, his clothes torn and wet from the rain, his eyes burned with desperation but also fear. His name was Kareem, though nobody cared to ask. He raised his hand, shaking. I'll try, he said, voice breaking. The crowd gasped. A woman hissed, "Don't, it's not safe." Another whispered, "It's witch food." But hunger pressed harder than their warnings. Ravi did not speak. He only poured a bowl, steam curling in soft golden swirls. He set it before Kareem and waited. Kareem looked at it for a long time. Then with trembling fingers he lifted the spoon. The moment it touched his lips, silence fell over the street. At first, nothing. His face was blank, his body still. The crowd leaned closer, hearts thudding in their chests. Then, his eyes widened, his lips parted. A faint glow lit his cheeks, spreading like fire beneath his skin. He dropped the spoon and clutched his chest. The crowd screamed. Someone shouted, "Poison!" Others stepped back in terror. But then Kareem laughed, loud, wild, full of life. The sound echoed against the empty towers, bouncing like a song that didn't belong in this broken city. His back straightened, his arms grew steady, and his eyes shone with strange light. He gasped, still laughing. "It's alive! The food! It's alive!" The crowd froze. Some stared in wonder. Some whispered prayers. Others trembled, unable to decide if this was miracle or curse. Ravi only stood there calm, watching. He knew this moment would come. Kareem lifted his hands, looking at them with awe. "I can feel it," he said. "Like fire in my blood. Like my bones are strong again. My hunger is gone. My pain is gone. His voice cracked with tears. "I feel human again." The crowd pressed closer now, eyes wide, mouths open. A little girl tugged her mother's dress. "Mama," she whispered, "I want some too." The mother shook her head at first, but her eyes betrayed her. She wanted it too. Everyone did. Ravi served another bowl, then another. Slowly, carefully, more people dared to taste, and one by one their faces changed. Glow spread under their skin, their eyes brightened, some cried, some laughed, some simply held their bowls like treasure. But not everyone was brave. A man in the back shouted, "This is alien food! He's feeding us poison so they can control us!" His voice cracked with anger and fear. "Don't eat it! Don't trust him!" The crowd turned to look at Ravi. His face was calm, unreadable. He said nothing. He only stirred his pot. The fire snapped louder as answering for him. The angry man stepped forward, pulling a rusty knife, but before he could act, Kareem, still glowing faintly, grabbed his wrist. With strength he didn't have before, he twisted the knife away and shoved the man back. "No," Kareem growled. His eyes blazed with strange fire. "This food saved me. If you want to starve, starve, but don't take this from us." The crowd cheered. Fear turned to desire. The angry man stumbled back into the shadows, defeated. More bowls were filled, more spoons lifted, more hearts changed. The street that once felt dead now throbbed with life. Laughter rose, voices hummed. For a moment, the ruins felt like a festival. But not everything was joy. Far above, in the broken windows of a tower, something moved. A shadow, tall and thin with glowing eyes. It watched silently, its gaze locked on Ravi's stall. When the wind shifted, its whisper carried down the street. Nobody but Ravi heard it. "Not yours," the voice hissed. Ravi's hands stilled on the spoon. His eyes flicked to the tower, but the shadow was gone. He breathed deep, steadying himself, then kept cooking. By nightfall, the crowd was gone, their bellies full, their veins humming with strange light. Ravi sat alone by the dying fire, staring at the last bowl. The golden glow pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. He whispered to himself, "It has begun." And somewhere in the ruins, other eyes opened. Not human, not friendly. They had smelled the taste carried by the wind, and they were coming closer. The city had been dead for years. People whispered that nothing new would ever come. But that night, something new did. The sky cracked open. At first it was only a sound, a low hum, deep as thunder but sharper, like a blade sliding across glass. The ruined towers shook. The broken streets trembled. Dogs howled in the distance. Children woke from sleep, their eyes glowing faintly from yesterday's meal. Then came the light. A beam cut through the clouds, white and burning, brighter than the sun. It sliced down onto the street where Ravi's stall stood. Pots rattled, fire snapped. His soup glowed brighter, answering the light above as if it had been waiting. The people who had eaten his food the day before gathered at the corners, trembling. Some fell to their knees, whispering prayers. Others clutched each other, too afraid to speak. And then, it appeared. A ship descended, silent but heavy. Its body was black metal, curved like a giant wing, humming with energy. Strange symbols burned along its sides, glowing in colors no human could name. The air grew thick. Every breath tasted like iron and rain. The ship landed with a hiss, its weight crushing the broken pavement. A ramp unfolded, slow and deliberate. Mist spilled out, cold and silver. From the mist, they stepped. Tall figures, slender but strong. Their skin shimmered faintly, changing color with every movement, silver, violet, soft gold. Their eyes glowed like jewels, alive with light, and their faces, beautiful, almost painfully so. Each curve, each line seemed carved by something greater than human hands. They were not soldiers, they were not monsters. They were women, alien women, gorgeous, radiant, terrifying. The crowd gasped, some wept. A man whispered, "Angels." Another hissed, "No, demons." But Ravi said nothing. His hands tightened around the wooden spoon. He had known this day would come. The alien women moved with grace, their steps silent, their hair flowing like rivers of light. They stopped before his stall, their eyes locked not on him, but on the food. Their nostrils flared, their lips parted slightly. Hunger burned in their faces, sharp and undeniable. For a long moment, no one moved. Then one of them spoke. Her voice was soft, musical, like wind over glass. The words were strange, layered, but one sound repeated clearly. She pointed at the pot. "Taste." The crowd gasped again. Ravi's heart thudded. He stared at her, searching for lies. But all he saw was truth. Raw desire, raw need. They had come for his food. The tallest of them stepped closer. Her eyes were deep violet, glowing like fire underwater. She touched the table, her fingers long and graceful. The wood blackened slightly where she touched it, as if her skin carried hidden heat. She looked at Ravi directly. "Taste," she said again, more firmly. The crowd panicked. A woman screamed, "Don't give it. If they eat it, we are doomed." Others shouted, "No, let them. Maybe they will leave us in peace." Ravi stood still. The fire popped. The soup shimmered. His hand shook around the spoon. He knew this was not a choice between yes or no. This was bigger. This was fate. But something inside him resisted. He leaned forward, his voice low. "Why?" he asked. The alien's eyes narrowed. She tilted her head, as if surprised that a human dared question her. Her lips curved into something close to a smile. She touched her chest with one hand, then pointed at the food. "Home," she whispered. The word struck him like a blade. The food was theirs. Or maybe, once had been, and now they had returned for it. The air thickened. The crowd murmured louder, fear growing. Some backed away, afraid the aliens would take everything. Others pushed forward, desperate to see what would happen. Ravi looked into the pot. The golden glow pulsed, soft and alive. It almost seemed to speak to him. He could refuse. He could end it now, but his chest tightened with something strange. Not fear, not anger, but curiosity. What would happen if they tasted it? The tall alien leaned closer, her eyes burning into his. "Taste," she said one last time, her voice now sharp, commanding, almost desperate. Ravi's spoon dipped into the pot. Steam rose, curling around his face. Slowly he filled a bowl. His hand trembled as he placed it on the table. For a moment, the whole world held its breath. The alien woman reached forward. Her fingers brushed the bowl. She lifted it with delicate grace, bringing it to her lips. The crowd froze. Ravi froze. Even the city itself seemed frozen. She drank. And then, her eyes widened. Her body shivered. Light exploded across her skin, racing through her veins, making her glow like a living star. She gasped, stumbled, then dropped to one knee. The other alien women rushed forward, their voices sharp with urgency, but the tall one raised a trembling hand, stopping them. Her lips curved into a smile, slow and pure. She whispered in her strange language, but one word slipped into human sound. Only you. She bowed before Ravi. The crowd erupted, some in cheers, some in screams. The other alien women stared at him now, their eyes blazing with hunger, their bodies trembling with desire. Ravi's stall shook under the weight of destiny. His food was no longer a secret. It was a bridge, a weapon, a miracle. And every alien girl on that ship now wanted a taste. The street was no longer silent. The moment the tall alien girl bowed to Ravi, everything changed. The humans who had been watching gasped in disbelief. Some fell to their knees, whispering prayers. Others backed away, terrified. For them, aliens were hunters, conquerors, the monsters of the war. But here stood one, kneeling before a human cook. Her glowing skin shimmered with strange energy. Her eyes burned with satisfaction, almost joy. The bowl still trembled in her hands as if it carried more than food. It carried history. The other alien women surrounded her, speaking in sharp, melodic tones. Their voices overlapped, full of urgency. Their eyes flicked toward the pot, hungry, desperate. They wanted it too. Ravi stood frozen behind his stall. His hand still gripped the wooden spoon, his knuckles white. He could feel the eyes of everyone, the humans trembling in the shadows, the alien women glowing with desire, even the silent city watching him. For a moment he wondered if he should run, but he didn't. The tall alien rose slowly, her body glowing faintly with the power of his food. She looked at Ravi, her lips curved in a smile that was too perfect, too dangerous. When she spoke, her voice was softer this time, but it carried weight, like an order wrapped in silk. More. The crowd shivered. Some whispered, "Don't do it." Others muttered, "Give it. Keep them calm." Ravi's heart raced. His instincts screamed danger, but something else stirred inside him. Curiosity, maybe even defiance. He set the spoon down. His voice was low, steady. "Why should I?" The aliens froze. Their eyes narrowed. The tallest tilted her head, confused, as though she had never been denied in her life. She stepped closer, her shadow falling across the stall. The ground beneath her feet cracked slightly as if the earth itself bent under her presence. "Because we ask," she said. Her words were simple, but her tone was sharp as steel. Ravi met her gaze. "Asking is not enough. Tell me, what do you want with my food? What happens if you eat it all?" The other aliens hissed, their glowing eyes flashing. One stepped forward, her face fierce, lips parting to reveal sharp crystalline teeth. But the tall one raised her hand, stopping her. She studied Ravi for a long moment, then touched her chest. "Need," she whispered. Then she touched the pot. "Home." The word struck the crowd like thunder. Murmurs rippled through the humans. Some gasped, others shook their heads in denial. "Home?" someone whispered. "This food, it belongs to them?" The alien woman nodded slowly, her eyes never leaving Ravi. He felt the weight of her gaze, the pressure of her need, and yet, instead of fear, a strange calm filled him. He realized something. They were desperate. They weren't here as conquerors. They weren't here to fight. They were here to beg. For the first time, Ravi saw them not as gods or monsters, but as hungry travelers, lost and aching for a taste of something they could not create on their own. He leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "If I give you more, what do I get in return?" The crowd gasped. A human daring to bargain with aliens? Madness. The alien's glowing eyes narrowed. She looked at him as if no one had ever spoken to her like this. Then slowly her lips curved into a smile, not kind, but amused. "You bargain?" she asked. Ravi nodded. "Yes, everything has a price." The alien women exchanged looks. Their voices rose again in sharp whispers, debating among themselves. Finally, the tall one stepped forward once more. Her glowing hand reached across the table. "What do you want?" she asked. The question cut through the air like a blade. The humans behind Ravi leaned in, listening. Would he ask for power? Protection? Riches? Ravi's mind swirled. He could ask for safety for the city. He could ask for weapons, for answers about the war, for their technology. He could even ask for his own life to be spared. But as he looked into their burning eyes, another thought formed. "I want truth," he said. His voice was steady. "Tell me why my food is special. Tell me why it calls to you. Tell me why humans glow when they eat it." The tall alien blinked. For the first time, her smile faded. She seemed almost unsettled. The silence stretched long. The fire crackled. The soup shimmered, waiting. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was low, almost sorrowful. "Because it is not only food." The crowd leaned closer, straining to hear. "It is memory," she continued. Her glowing hand touched the pot gently, almost with reverence. "It is seed of stars. It was ours, long before your world burned. But now, it is yours." Her eyes met Ravi's, burning with intensity. "And only you can make it live again." The humans gasped. Ravi's chest tightened. The aliens were not just begging for food, they were begging for survival. Before he could answer, one of the other alien women snapped, her voice sharp. She pointed at the humans in the crowd, her words fast and harsh. Ravi didn't understand, but the meaning was clear. She didn't want to share. The tall alien silenced her with a glare, then turned back to Ravi. Her hand hovered over his, close enough that he could feel her strange warmth. "Give us more," she whispered, "and we will give you protection from shadows that even now walk closer." The ground shook faintly, as if her words had called those shadows to life. Ravi glanced at the ruined streets, where the darkness seemed thicker than before. He felt the air grow cold. Something else was coming. He looked back at the alien woman. Her eyes glowed fiercely. The bargain stood between them, his food for their promise. The humans waited, breathless. The aliens waited, desperate. Ravi's hand hovered over the pot, and he realized whatever choice he made now would decide the future of both worlds. The air was heavy with silence. Ravi's hand hovered over the pot, the spoon trembling in his fingers. Around him, the humans held their breath, eyes wide with terror and curiosity. The alien women stood tall, glowing faintly, their beauty sharp as blades, their hunger shining in their eyes. Finally, Ravi dipped the spoon into the shimmering soup. The golden liquid swirled like liquid fire, pulsing softly, almost alive. He poured it into a bowl and set it on the table. No one moved. Then the tallest alien, the one who had bowed, stepped forward. Her glowing hand reached out, graceful, steady. She lifted the bowl. The crowd gasped. She brought it to her lips and drank. For a moment, the world stopped. Then it happened. Her body arched, her eyes wide. Light spread across her veins like lightning, racing through her skin. She gasped, dropping the bowl as the glow consumed her. The golden soup spilled across the ground, but no one cared. They only stared at her. Her knees buckled, but instead of falling, she laughed. A sound like music, bright and wild, rang through the broken street. Her glow grew brighter, filling the night with living light. The other alien women froze, their eyes wide with shock and desire. Their voices rose in sharp whispers, their language harsh with need. The humans panicked. Some screamed, backing away, convinced the alien would explode. Others pushed forward, desperate to see, desperate to touch. Ravi gripped the edge of the stall, his heart pounding. He had seen humans glow after eating, but this was different. The alien was not just glowing, she was transforming. Her silver skin deepened to radiant gold, her eyes blazed like twin suns, and her body trembled with raw energy. Then she dropped to one knee before Ravi. The street fell silent again. Her voice shook, filled with awe. "Only you," she whispered. "Only you can make it." The humans gasped, the aliens stiffened, and then the chaos began. The other alien women lunged forward, their glowing hands reaching, their eyes burning with hunger. They shoved past the terrified humans, their voices desperate. "Taste! Taste!" they cried over and over, the single word bursting from their lips like a command. The stall shook under their force. Ravi staggered back, clutching the spoon. His heart raced as the aliens pressed closer, their beauty terrifying, their hunger overwhelming. "Wait!" Ravi shouted, but his voice was drowned in the storm. The crowd erupted. Some humans screamed for him to give more food. Others begged him to stop. A few pushed forward, trying to steal bowls for themselves. Hands clashed. Shouts filled the night. The street became a storm of fear and desire. One alien slammed her glowing hand on the table. The wood cracked, sparks flying. Her voice thundered, "Give!" Ravi's eyes burned with defiance. "Not like this," he snapped. The aliens froze, their hunger colliding with his will. For a moment, silence returned, heavy and sharp. The tall alien who had eaten rose slowly to her feet. Her glow pulsed softer now, steadier, like fire under control. She placed a hand on the table, her eyes locked on Ravi. "Choose," she said. "Who eats next?" The words struck like a hammer. The humans gasped. The aliens stiffened. Ravi looked around. The humans' faces were pale, terrified, but filled with longing. The aliens' eyes blazed, fierce and desperate. Both sides waited, trembling, their fates in his hand. His chest tightened. He wasn't a leader. He wasn't a king. He was just a man with a food stall. But now, his food had made him something else. Something bigger. Slowly, he raised the spoon. His hand hovered over the pot. The golden soup shimmered, pulsing like a heartbeat, waiting to be given. The second alien girl stepped forward, her lips parted, her eyes glowing with desire. She reached for the bowl, but a hand stopped her. It was human. Kareem, the man who had eaten first. His eyes still glowed faintly, his body stronger than before. He stood between the alien and the stall, his chest rising and falling with defiance. "No," Kareem said, his voice sharp. "We are human. We eat first." The crowd gasped. Some cheered, others shrank back in fear. The alien snarled, her beauty twisting into fury. Her glowing hand shot out, grabbing Kareem by the throat. The human screamed. But Ravi slammed the spoon into the pot. The sound was sharp, ringing like a bell. The glow of the soup flared, brighter than ever. "Enough!" he shouted. Everyone froze. Even the alien's grip loosened. Her burning eyes turned to Ravi. He held the spoon high, the golden liquid dripping slowly. His voice cut through the chaos. "This food is not for war," he said. "It is not for greed. You want it? Then you wait. You respect it, or no one eats again." The humans stared. The alien stared. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. The tall alien's lips curved into a smile. She released Kareem, who fell back, coughing but alive. Her glowing eyes locked on Ravi, and she nodded once. "Bargain," she said softly. The other aliens hissed in protest, but she silenced them with a glance. She turned back to Ravi, her voice low, reverent. "You will choose, one by one, until all is fed." The humans gasped in relief. The aliens growled in frustration, but no one dared to defy her. Ravi lowered the spoon slowly, his chest still burning with adrenaline. He knew this was only the beginning. He had won a moment of peace, but peace was fragile. Because as he looked into the shadows beyond the firelight, he saw them stir again. Tall shapes, darker than night, watching. Not alien women this time. Something else, something hungrier. And they were waiting for their turn to taste. The night stretched long after the chaos. The humans had gone home, their bellies warm, their veins glowing faintly with strange fire. The alien women stayed near the stall, their glowing eyes fixed on Ravi like hunters circling prey. They no longer lunged for the pot, but their hunger had not vanished. It lingered in their gaze, sharp and heavy, waiting for the next chance. Ravi sat on the edge of his stall, his wooden spoon resting in his hand. His heart was still racing, but his face was calm. He stared into the pot where the last of the soup shimmered softly, pulsing like a heartbeat. He knew he could not keep the truth hidden much longer. The tall alien, the one who had eaten first, stepped closer. Her glow had softened, no longer blinding but steady, like a flame that would not die. She crouched low, her face level with his, her voice soft but sharp. "You are not normal," she whispered. "No human can do this." Ravi's grip tightened on the spoon. He said nothing. The alien tilted her head, her violet eyes burning with intensity. "Tell us, where did it come from?" The other aliens leaned closer, their breath sharp, their voices murmuring in their strange language. The humans might have feared them, but Ravi heard something else. And their tone, not anger, not command, it was desperation. They needed his answer. Ravi closed his eyes for a moment. The past rose inside him, heavy and bitter. He had buried it for years, but now it clawed its way out. "I didn't find the food," he said quietly. "It found me." The alien stilled. Even the fire crackled softer as though listening. Ravi's mind drifted back. He saw himself years ago walking through ruins far beyond the city, alone, starving. The world had already ended and people were killing each other for scraps. He had wandered into an old crater where strange glass-like stones jutted out of the ground. At the center, buried in ash and dust, he had found it. A seed. It was small, glowing faintly, pulsing like a living heart. He had no idea what it was, but when he held it, warmth spread through his body. For the first time in days, his hunger faded. I planted it, Ravi whispered. His voice shook with memory. In the ruins behind the city, I watered it with rain, I fed it with ash, and it grew. The aliens leaned closer, their eyes wide. One whispered a word Ravi didn't understand, her voice trembling like prayer. It grew into plants I had never seen before, Ravi continued. Leaves that glowed, fruits that shimmered, spices that sang when the wind touched them. I didn't understand it, but I cooked with them, and when I ate... He paused, his chest tight. His hands shook around the spoon. I felt alive again. The aliens gasped softly, their glowing eyes locked on him. That seed, Ravi said, his voice steady now. It wasn't from Earth. It came from you, didn't it? The tall alien nodded slowly, her lips parted, her voice breaking. Yes, starseed. The word rolled from her tongue like reverence, like grief. She touched her chest, then the ground, then the pot, as though drawing a circle of meaning. Our people, long ago, left it here, she whispered. It was gift, promise. But the Warkai, we lost it. We thought it gone forever. Her eyes shimmered with tears that glowed faintly. And now you grow it, you cook it, you awaken it. The other aliens murmured in awe, some kneeling slightly, their glowing faces soft with relief. The humans, hiding at the edge of the street, gasped at the words they understood. Not from Earth. Gift. Lost. Found. Ravi's chest ached. He looked at the pot again. So it was never mine. The tall alien shook her head. No. But now, it is yours. The seed listens only to you. No other hand can make it live. That is why we came. Her glowing fingers touched the table. You are the cook of the stars. The word struck him harder than any weapon. Cook of the stars. A title he had never wanted, never asked for. Ravi's face darkened. He looked at the aliens, then at the humans hiding in the shadows. His voice was low. If this food spreads, it could heal the world. It could feed everyone. The alien nodded. Yes, but it could also destroy. In wrong mouths. In wrong hands. It is fire. Her eyes burned into his. That is why you must choose. The words sank deep. Choice. Always choice. Ravi closed his eyes. He remembered the boy who had glowed after eating. He remembered Kareem, stronger, fiercer. He remembered the humans laughing, alive again for the first time in years. But he also remembered the alien girl glowing like a living sun, power shaking her body, dangerous and beautiful. The seed was not just food, it was life, power, memory. And everyone wanted it. The tall alien's voice dropped to a whisper. The shadows are coming. They smell it too. They will take it by force. If you do not decide soon, there will be no world left to feed. The fire sputtered. The pot glowed faintly as though agreeing. Ravi stared into it, his chest heavy with the weight of destiny. He was no longer just a man with a stall. He was the keeper of the seed, and soon he would have to decide who was worthy to taste it and who must starve. The ruins were no longer silent. Where once the streets had been empty and cold, now voices filled them. Laughter, footsteps, the sound of trade. Ravi's food stall had become the heart of the dead city. Humans returned, drawn by the warmth of his cooking, and the aliens too, those radiant women from the stars stood in line beside them. It was a sight no one would have believed. Men and women who once feared the aliens now sat beside them, bowls in hand, eating together. Children laughed as their eyes glowed faintly from the soup. Even the old walked with new strength, their faces brighter. And the alien girls, gorgeous, glowing, powerful, smiled like children tasting home for the first time in centuries. They no longer looked like conquerors. They looked like travelers finally at rest. All of it began with one stall, one man, one seed. Ravi worked silently behind his table, stirring his pot. His fire burned steady, his hands moved with quiet focus, but his mind was restless. Every bowl he served made the humans stronger. Every bite the aliens took filled them with radiance. His food was a bridge between species, a fragile thread tying them together, but Ravi knew bridges could burn as easily as they were built. The tall alien woman, the one who had eaten first, stood close to him now. Her glow was softer, calmer, but her presence was still sharp as fire. She watched him cook with eyes that never blinked. You have changed this place, she said quietly. Ravi didn't look at her. The food changed it, not me. But she shook her head. No, others found the seed long ago. None could make it live. Only you. Only your hands. Her voice lowered, almost reverent. You are chosen. Ravi's chest tightened. He didn't want to be chosen. He wanted to cook, nothing more. But fate had placed this weight in his hands, and there was no turning back. The crowd around the stall grew larger each day. Humans brought what little they had to trade: cloth, metal, even weapons. Aliens offered crystals, strange tools that hummed with light. Ravi accepted everything, because everything helped him cook. The city, broken for so long, began to breathe again, but not everyone celebrated. Some humans whispered that the aliens were stealing their gift. Others hissed that Ravi had betrayed his own kind. Even among the aliens, voices of dissent rose. Why should they share their starseed with humans who had nearly destroyed their world? Every bite healed, but every bite also sharpened hunger, and hunger, Ravi knew, could turn to war. That night, as the fires burned low and the last bowls were emptied, Ravi sat alone at his stall. The streets were quiet again. The aliens had returned to their ship. The humans had gone back to their shelters. Only the wind moved now. But the shadows moved too. From the corners of the broken city, from cracks in the towers, they slid closer. Tall, thin shapes, darker than the night. Their eyes glowed faintly, not with warmth, but with hunger. Ravi had seen them before, always watching, never acting, but tonight their patience was ending. He rose slowly, spoon in hand. His pot still glowed faintly, the last of the soup pulsing like a dying star. The tall alien woman appeared beside him, silent as mist. Her glowing eyes narrowed as she saw the shadows. "They come," she whispered. Ravi's voice was steady. "What are they?" Her face darkened. "Not us, not you. They are the broken ones, those who tasted once and were cursed. They live only to eat again." Ravi's chest tightened. He stared into the shadows where dozens of glowing eyes blinked back at him. They shifted forward, slow and steady, their hunger thick in the air. The alien's voice sharpened. "They will not ask. They will not bargain. They will take." Ravi gripped his spoon tighter. His stall, his food, his secret. It had healed the city. It had brought humans and aliens together. But now, it had also drawn monsters. He looked at the tall alien. She looked back, her violet eyes fierce. "Will you fight with me?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "We will fight for the food, for you." The shadows hissed, their glowing eyes multiplying in the darkness. The air grew cold. The fire sputtered. Ravi stood tall behind his stall. His heart pounded, but his voice was calm. "Then let them come." The golden pot shimmered, the last of the starseed soup glowing bright. The shadows surged forward, faster now, hungrier. And as the first one leapt from the dark, teeth gleaming, Ravi raised his spoon like a weapon. The story of the food stall was no longer about survival. It was about war.